Escondido, where we make car shopping a breeze.
Welcome back. There is a new online training program to address the need for pathways to employment for veterans. And joining us to talk more about the program, which begins today, is Colonel Greg Gadsden from MVPvets. Good morning to you, Colonel.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm well, thank you. I like your background. What are we looking at?
Well, those were actually the soldiers that I took to Iraq, and several of those men saved my life.
Well, that's I understand why they're your background then, absolutely. It's a wonderful picture. And let's start with your story then, because you were wounded in service and then you made a successful transition back into civilian life, I'm sure thanks to help from people around you. And can you talk a little bit about that and why you're now devoted to sort of helping other veterans find their way back into successful workplaces?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. So as you said, I was wounded in Baghdad during the surge of 2007. Ultimately, the wounds that I sustained cost me both my legs amputated above the knee and the limited use of my right arm and hand. I was very fortunate and blessed to actually be able to continue my service on active duty for almost another 8 years after I was wounded. I was actually promoted, and in my last position, I commanded a military base. But my first job after being approved to stay on active duty was the director of the United States Army Wounded Warrior Program. And this program was established exactly for transition of our severely wounded, injured, and ill soldiers. And so this was my first outlook into this space and understanding the complexities, particularly of our vets and particularly of our wounded vets, and making a transition, a successful transition back into civilian life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what a story you have to tell, and such an inspiration for those that you're trying to help find their way. And MVPvets is really doing a great job in doing that. And so you throw a pandemic on already difficult situations and transitions for some of our veterans, and we're looking at really high unemployment numbers, especially for vets. So let's talk about this training program that is going on. I believe it starts today. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. It's this is the first day of a 6-week program that devotes 2 hours a week to prepare transitioning veterans for fields in the STEM and the medical device field. One of the difficulties and challenges, I think, quite honestly, in our society is our society is very appreciative of our military, but I think they understand what we do, but they don't always understand who we are and what makes us tick and the value that we can add. And so, there are times that we have disconnects, and so translating our skills and preparing ourselves. The focus of MVPvets is to focus and prepare our veterans to serve in technical fields, particularly in the medical field.
And so the program really helps them get everything in order, from their resumes to all sorts of digital footprints in order to really transition into the civilian workplace.
It does, but it goes beyond that, because we provide mentors, and those mentors are exceptionally key. They're mentors from within the industry that can help a veteran, but also help the companies and the marketplace understand that I think these men and women have truly proven themselves, and this is just a transition of understanding, not a transition of dedication and hard work that so many veterans can bring to the workforce.
Has the pandemic and sort of the restrictions made it more difficult to have that personal connection with the veterans you're working with, or are you still able to do what you can as far as that goes?
Well, I won't say it hasn't had any impact, but I also would say it's been, I would say it's been pretty minimal. understand that we've been operating in the virtual world. I mean, I was in the Army for 26 years. We've been operating virtually way ahead of, I would say, society. From ships out at sea to, remote forward operating bases in Afghanistan. We have lived in the virtual world for better than 20 years.
Well, many times that's how you're connecting with your loved ones when you're overseas. So you sort of know how to do that. You're advanced.
Even your bosses, not just your loved ones, but your bosses. I can tell you that, just the management and leadership on the battlefield may come virtually. It's not unusual.
Well, I encourage everyone at home who thinks that this may help them or someone they know to go to MVPvets.org and check out what you're doing, because it's a wonderful organization. And Colonel, thank you so much for your service, first and foremost, and for your time this morning.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your interest and your support of those who serve every day. And I can't thank you enough.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Colonel. Take care.